crazy to believe that the PlayStation 5 is finally here, and in not only my hands, but the hands of millions of people worldwide. Honestly, it feels like months ago where I anxiously and nervously broke 5 keyboards slamming my poor fingers down on all these retailer pre-order buttons. But were those broken buttons worth it? Was it worth blood blistering up my poor itty-bitty fingers? In my case, it damn sure was, and it might not be for the reason you think. The PlayStation 5 launched with many great titles, such as Godfall, Spider-Man, Bugsnax, Demon's Souls, but only one title to me truly sums up what the PlayStation 5 has to offer, and exemplifies just what it means to be an actual PlayStation fan in general. And yes, you guessed it, you cheated! You looked at the title! This game is, of course, Astro's Playroom. Astro's Playroom is a semi-prequel to one of my favorite platformers of the entire last generation, Astro Bot, Rescue Mission on PlayStation VR. But this time, instead of stepping back into the world of virtual reality, Astro's Playroom instead takes us on a journey through the entire history of the PlayStation brand, while showing us just exactly what the PlayStation 5 and its DualSense can achieve. Now, noticed I said semi-sequel and not a full-blown sequel, because, well, yes, this game can be seen as a sequel, it should be better described as a very extensive tech demo for the PlayStation 5, much like what Wii Sports did for the Nintendo Wii to show off the new motion controls of the Wii Remote. Astro's Playroom does the exact same for the PlayStation 5 with DualSense's haptic feedback. Now, I can sit here and ramble on about haptic all day, but let's get into the true meat and potatoes of this game/techno demo, shall we? Once you boot up the game, you're thrown into your main hub area known as CPU Plaza. This is the main hub you'll spend most of your time in while trying to figure out just what objective you want to take on next. In this area, you'll see 4 main mini-hubs to interact with. These hubs being Cooling Springs, SSD, Speedway, Memory Meadow, and GPU Jungle. Each of these areas coincides with a specific time in PlayStation's history, ranging from PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. And every area offering a different gameplay experience that utilizes 1 or 2 new features of the DualSense controller, as well as offering a huge bout of nostalgia for longtime fans of the PlayStation brand. So, where exactly do you start? Well, that's up to you to decide, as there isn't a specific order that you have to complete each stage in. But let's just start with a brief history of Astro Bot on PlayStation VR to see how we got here before diving fully in. Last time we saw little Astro Bot was in 2018's breakout hit, Astro Bot Rescue Mission. At the time of its release, Sony's PlayStation VR was still trying to find its footing and its place in the market. And while I had one at the time, I rarely played it because there weren't any games that truly kept my interest or got me excited at the prospect of VR. But that changed with the release of Astro Bot Rescue Mission. If you've seen my latest review video of the Super Mario 35th anniversary, then you would know I'm a huge fan of the platforming genre and the cartoony and whimsical nature that a character like Mario brings to the table. And this is something I've always wanted Sony to attempt to do. With Sony mostly being focused on mature gaming over silly and wacky characters, Astro Bot was a breath of fresh air to not only the PlayStation brand, but to myself as a longtime fan of the platforming genre, because it showed that Sony has what it takes to truly make something in this genre that I could actually consider as a rival to Mario. Astro Bot to me pulled a Mario 64 in regards to changing the definition of the genre, at least in the VR sense, with its use of headbutting with the headset, blowing on the controller, and the motion of the headset. It was and still is my fave platformer of the last generation. So now, how does Astro's Playroom fare? And does it keep the same aspects that made Astro Bot on PlayStation VR such a great game? The answer to that is both a yes and no. The reason why I gave a no here is because Astro's Playroom does not utilize the uniqueness of the PlayStation VR headset that made Rescue Mission such a different experience. But honestly, it didn't need to, because it does something even better with the DualSense haptic feedback. With haptic feedback, each movement, sound, or touch from a character or environment is felt throughout the entire controller in your hands. For instance, yanking a lever in the game's crane, you actually feel the force of your pull. Like you legit have to squeeze down the L2 trigger with some force, and you will feel the force all the way through your pull. Then, when venturing through a rainy and stormy area of the game, not only can you hear each individual drop on your controller, you can feel each drop hitting specific sections of the DualSense controller. It's extremely hard to explain and has to be felt. Much like the 3D gimmick of the 3DS, seeing is believing. These aren't the only aspects utilized of the DualSense, not by a long shot. We'll get into a few more of those as we dig in further. As you venture through one of the 4 main hubs of the game, you'll be tasked with exploring each level to uncover just all the secrets and goodies it has to offer you. And these come in the form of collectible puzzle pieces and artifacts to find that are hidden throughout each stage. Each level in the game has 4 mini-sections you have to play through in order to get to the end goal, and they have 2 artifacts and 4 puzzle pieces for you to unlock and find. Some of these are very easy to find, and are right out in the open, while others may take a little more brainstorming to find by doing your due diligence to seek them all out. But what's the point of even collecting these puzzle pieces and artifacts? And what exactly are they? Well, I'm glad you asked that, because the puzzle pieces and artifacts are what give this game its huge nostalgia boost and magical trip down memory lane for all of us who love the PlayStation brand. In order to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, let's take a trip to the PlayStation Labo area of the game, which houses all of our collectibles. Here we are at the hub of the PlayStation Labo. As you can see, I've collected all the artifacts and puzzle pieces there are in the game, and each section of the game giving you artifacts that relate to the vast history of the PlayStation brand. Over here, we have the PlayStation 1 and all its accessories and controllers, and... wait a minute. Watch this. Hey, buddy?
Yeah, what do you want?
BAM! Oh, and over here we have the PlayStation VR headset that you can punch and interact with, which is actually pretty dang cool. Most of the collectibles you see in this area can all be interacted with in some way, shape, or form, whether it's opening the disc drive, turning on the consoles themselves, or turning on the lights of the PlayStation Move guns. All artifacts, as you can clearly see, are rendered in 3D, and some of these items I had completely forgotten existed. Like seriously, who the hell remembers this thing? Oh wait, that's the Vita! Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense why I forgot. But moving on, I'm sure you're wondering, what is your reward for collecting all these puzzle pieces? Well, you're looking at it right here. This massive wall mural is a beautiful art piece, spanning the entire PlayStation history from 1994 all the way to 2016. I wish my house was big enough because it would look so sick with this bad boy along my wall. It's absolutely amazing. Now that you've seen just about all the stuff you can actually collect, let's hop into a level and actually see how the game plays itself, shall we? Astro's Playroom is very basic in the gameplay department, with square being your melee attack. Jumping with X and holding it down allows you to hover for a short period of time, with your little leg lasers also acting as its own secondary attack as well. A majority of your time spent in the game will require you to hop your little way across platforms, ledges, climb up mountains, and figure out puzzles in order to find out where to go to next. If there's one thing this game does not lack, it's variety. Each individual level feels self-contained and different from each other, with each level offering its own unique experience, and this is in part thanks to the DualSense and its use with the game's power-ups. As you venture through each stage, you will come across unlockable suits that will completely change how a specific level is played. For instance, you may run up to a suit with a flick of the touchpad and zip yourself up ready for action, and become an actual robotic monkey. Once equipped as the monkey, you must press L2 and R2 to begin ascending up a cliff and grab onto platforms. However, it's not as easy as it looks. Say you're grabbing a block with your right hand, which is R2. You must tilt your DualSense controller up and left while using L2 to raise your left arm and grab it, like you're actually climbing the mountain for real. Vice versa, it works the other way around as well to grab with your other hand. Grabbing ledges and bars as the monkey is also a pretty fun feature. Upon grabbing a bar and holding it with L2 and R2, you can use the motion control of the DualSense and swing your controller towards you, which makes your character swing and swing until you let go of your shoulder buttons and whee! You send Mr. Monkey flying high into the sky to grab onto either another ledge or platform. It's very basic, but it just feels really fun to do and completely changes the dynamic of the level you're playing. But it's not the only power-up that will completely change your experience. There are quite a few others. Other power-ups you'll come across are a robotic frog suit, a rocket ship, and a rolling ball. To me, these power-ups can be hit or miss, with the rocket ship being my favorite of these three. With the rocket ship, you maneuver your way through obstacles and caves, dodging electric enemies or hazards by using L2 and R2 to propel yourself through each area, whereas the frog suit allows you to aim with the controller's motion and make big or small jumps by holding down L2 or R2. The frog suit feels very weird at first, and is very unnatural due to getting used to haptic feedback. But once you get the hang of it, it feels really good and works really well. But the power-up I dislike the most has to be the ball power-up. This ball is something you find in nearly every other gimmick game dating back to the birth of motion controls and their inception into the market. By using the controller's touchpad, you must navigate your ball across ice or other narrow areas, but it just feels really unresponsive at times, like the touchpad is either too sensitive or not sensitive enough. Granted, I know I'm garbage at using it, but still it just doesn't feel as fluid and intuitive as the other power-ups. And is really the only major downside I found in regards to these power-ups. If you haven't already noticed after looking at the footage you're seeing, this game is absolutely gorgeous and oozes charm and creativity. At times I found myself just finding the highest section of the map I could, and just taking in the view of my surroundings, and seeing what little details I could find. Some details as small as finding characters painting PlayStation symbols onto a wall with a magic brush, references to Ocean's Descent from PlayStation VR Worlds, and even, wait. Hey, look! Isn't that Buster's sword? Oh yeah, that's definitely Buster's sword. Hey, Cloud! It's your Buster sword! Look, Cloud, look! You see it? You see it? Huh? You see it?
Like I give a shit.
Wow, okay, Grouch. I won't buy Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 then if you're going to be that rude. Stop acting as if you're sad. There's no need to act as if you're angry either, for you are just a puppet. Whoa, well that was weird. What was I talking about? Oh yes, the various details you can find while exploring. Astro's Playroom is a complete love letter to anything and everything PlayStation. Whether you grew up with it since the 90s, or you're just learning about it right here and right now. It has so many callbacks and throwbacks to the entire history of the PlayStation, and it really takes you back and hits your head with the nostalgia. Every nick and cranny and every little section of the game houses a PlayStation reference to an old console, controller, or even a character or franchise that was either introduced first on PlayStation console or has been a main staple of the brand itself. As you explore and venture around to find all the Easter eggs hidden throughout each level, you will find characters such as Solid Snake from Metal Gear, hiding in his little box, Resident Evil, Kratos and Boy, Crash Bandicoot, and, oh my god, hold up. Is that Super Rub-a-Dub? Ducky! Ducky, 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 ducky! Yes! Rubber ducky, you're the one. You make bath chimes so much fun. Rubber ducky, I'm awfully fond of you. That was a very nice PlayStation 3 reference if I do say so myself. Good show, old chap. Besides the references I showed above, there are many more Easter eggs to be found and new sights to see, and some of the sights are completely breathtaking due to the art design and animation. I mean, look at that! It's beautiful! Whether it's pushing your way through the windy sandstorm, feeling the controller vibrate with each speck of dirt hitting you, skating across an ice ring, swimming in the clear blue beach water, or hanging out with your good pal Parappa the Rapper as you relax from all the collectible gathering. Alright, we're here, just sitting in the car. I want you to show me that you can give far. Step on the gas.
Step on the tap gas.
Now step on the brakes.
Step on the brakes.
Step on the gas.
Step on the tap gas.
When I say boom, 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 you say bam, bam, bam. No pause in between. Come on, let's jam. After you're done exploring and finding out all the amazing secrets the game has hiding for you, such as Easter egg characters, puzzle pieces, and artifacts, you can just take on the network speedrun section of the game. This special hub houses 8 different levels that you have to speedrun your way through to either get your best time or beat your friend's time. Now if you're like me and want to 100% the game and platinum trophy like I did, then you will have to complete all 8 levels with a total timestamp of under or right at 7 minutes. This is the very last trophy of the game, and some of the stages can get pretty nerve-wracking when you're trying to move your little robo booty as fast as it can go. But the adrenaline rush is more than worth it, because when you actually do cross the finish line and get the time you needed, you feel absolutely amazing. I hate the rolling ball though. Curse you. I'll have nightmares about that for as long as I live. Astro's Playroom, if you do just the main 4 hubs and rush through them all, will take you about 3 to 4 hours to complete, depending on your skill level. However, if you choose to collect every single puzzle piece and artifact, as well as take on the super secret 5th hub world in the basement of CPU Plaza, you're looking at a good 6 to 7 hour experience just for a friggin' tech demo. That's absolutely insane. What about this 5th hub world, you ask? Well, it's the biggest throwback of the entire game for the PlayStation brand, but it would be an absolute travesty to spoil it for anyone that has yet to see it for themselves. It's imperative that you see it for yourself for it to really hit home. That's how awesome it is. Overall, At the end of the day, when it's all said and done, Astro's Playroom... What's this? Hey fellas, what you playing over there?
It's Ridge Racer! Ridge Racer!
No,
Remember that
anything but that! Ah! When it's all said and done, Astro's Playroom is the biggest love letter to not only the PlayStation brand, but to us as fans in general. It's one big thank you kiss wrapped up nicely in one free pre-installed package. I've been a fan of PlayStation since the 90s, and I love the brand. But over time, you take a lot of what you've seen and played for granted, and assume it will always be there no matter what, because that's how it's always been. Much like how I feel about Nintendo as a company, the PlayStation brand makes me feel the exact same way. PlayStation as a brand is irreplaceable, and in Astro's Playroom, going through the entire history of PlayStation, seeing products and characters I may have forgotten about or didn't appreciate, really put that love for the brand into perspective. It made me appreciate just what they have given me over the years, whether it be the gameplay experiences or the memories I have accumulated over the decades. Astro's Playroom has become more than just a mere tech demo showcasing the capabilities of the PlayStation 5 system and its controller, and instead has achieved something no other character in the PlayStation line of characters has achieved: mascot level status. Astro's Playroom to me gushes with charm, creativity, imagination, and a level of exuberance that is not matched by any other franchise besides Mario himself. It's a game that should be experienced by any gamer, new or old, to see why PlayStation holds so tightly in each of our hearts, and as gamers, makes us super excited to see where Sony is going to take us next in all future adventures. And I, for one, will be waiting with open arms for when that time comes. Hey everyone, thanks for watching! I really hope you enjoyed that review, and I look forward to bringing more to you in the coming future. For new people, feel free to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like or share, and for people already subscribed, make sure to hit that notification bell so that you do not miss out on any future content uploaded. Also, feel free to click on my other reviews linked above because they're kinda cool too, so give them a look. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch all you chickadees on the next one. Quick!